I had to wear my coat inside this Airbnb because it was absolutely freezing and I wasn't even in control of the heating. And then when I tried to cook, the knife couldn't even cut. So yeah, it looks great in the photos, but living here is a completely different story.
Okay, so I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. I actually have been here about 26 hours at the time of recording this video. And here's the reality up until this point, okay? First of all, how did I sleep? Terrible. There's a few things. I mean, firstly, I have been in a place for about 10 days and then I've flown here and I'm in a brand new environment. And I always get this every time I stay in a new Airbnb. The second thing though, I was absolutely boiling hot during the night, which I'll get into in a minute as to why that was. First impressions though of the place when I came, very nice place. The views are spectacular. I'm sure I'll get some footage in of it. It's a very clean place. Okay, that's a big thing for me and pretty much everybody, I would hope. The pictures on the Airbnb app do not do this justice whatsoever. It is way bigger than the pictures make it out to be. The one thing that bothered me though, and this was a big thing, before I entered the basement, one of the hosts said to me, flooring will be pretty cold, but it should warm up soon. Because when I arrived, it was about 42 degrees, very windy, no sun, right? I was very cold. I came in and after 90 minutes, the temperature didn't change. Okay, I was so cold and thought, no, this is not acceptable. So I messaged them on the app. And I said, hey, like it's really cold. Can you turn the heating up? And he said, I'll put it on right now. And I'm thinking, put it on? Telling me you've not had it on before I've arrived. You're now waiting for me to ask you to put it on. You know, it's not like it's summer and it's 90 degrees outside, it's cold. And then he said they were out and they were coming back and he would put the in-floor heating on, which he said before he left it was going to come warm anyway, whatever. Still was cold, really, really cold. It hadn't warmed up properly. So I messaged, he said that he will put the in-floor heating on now. I was like, yeah, this is unacceptable. I asked for a space heater. The room got really warm quickly. But all this to say, eventually the heat did crank up, but it became unbearable. I'm not in control of the heating. They have control of the heating, which again is a bugbear of mine. I hate not being able to control the temperature of where I'm staying. But in the end, it was so hot, that didn't help me sleep. So I got up this morning and I was in a bad mood because I was so hot. And I said, hey, you're gonna have to knock it down a little bit. So I'm frustrated about that. First of all, they weren't prepared for me coming or considerate enough to put the heat on. And yeah, it really bothered me, actually.
So this is the bedroom where I stayed. The bed itself was extremely comfortable. It's a very small bedroom nonetheless. The covers were very, very thick, which did not help when the room was nuclear in the evening after them eventually putting the heating on. The pillows were garbage, total garbage. And this is a note to all hosts. Please get better pillows in your Airbnbs. And you can see right now, there's the space heater I had to use. Tiny, but it did the job. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Pretty basic. So this is the bathroom. I have to say it is extremely clean, very sterile, and they have taken good care of it. And this is the shower. I like the decor, I'm not gonna lie. Very good vibe to it, very classy. And the shower itself was very, very good. Perfect heat, perfect power. And just, yeah, I can't say good enough things about the bathroom. I was incredibly impressed with it. So thumbs up. Have you ever seen an Airbnb with full-on coffee instructions, how to use a French press? Well, you have here, ladies and gentlemen, because they have a full instruction manual how to do it. Step 1, warm up the French press. I mean, look, they've actually got the ratio of coffee to water you need. It's so detailed, I actually quite like it. Step 3, measure the water. Step 4, add coffee grounds and water. Step 5, let it steep. They have everything. It's so detailed. Very, very good detail. You turn over here, press and plunge. serve and enjoy. I mean, like, most people know how to use a French press, but they're so anal, but in a good way. Very, very good.
I'm about to leave for work. Got my coat on. Another reason I've got my coat on is that the temperature has drastically dropped again down here in this basement. I've been awake for about 3.5 hours now, and it's gradually got cooler. The floor especially is stone cold. My feet are freezing, even with a pair of socks on. My hands are cold, my nose is cold. I don't know if it's one system that heats both their house and the basement, or it's a separate heating system that they control. You don't know what you're getting. You can't ask that question before you pay. And on the listing it will say it has AC and heat and stuff like that, but that means nothing. But most people do have their own system. But last time I asked them to put the heat on when I arrived, because it wasn't on, it was like nuclear level. It was absolutely boiling. So this is the thing, the joys.
So I thought this was pretty cool. They have a dedicated table with a rack of different local businesses with their business cards. I have never seen this in all the Airbnb stays I've been at, and I thought it was really touching. That's a chocolatier card. They really are supporting local Madison businesses, which is awesome. They have some leaflets here with different things. They've got the House of Rock. It's 2024, but you'll see they do like their out-of-date things in this house. And then they've got this folder which is so detail oriented, and I've noticed they are very particular and precise and quite anal with things, and they have breweries in there, activities, different days out you can do, different restaurants to go to, the full works. They have everything you can think of, and it's good, it's very helpful. No one has a deeper folder than this where I've been before. And at the back they've got map guides, but again they are completely out of date, which is not uncommon with this place, which you'll learn very quickly. And then they have this nice little book here, which a lot of hosts have, where they leave a message on top and you can write a message on the bottom, but I didn't do that.
Just looking at the snacks before, it's 2 months out of date, so that's not terrible. Trail mix, let's have a look. That goes off in June, I think. That's not bad. Raisins. Oh, hell no. July last year. No way. Yeah. They don't, of course, have any dates on them, but I don't trust them. 2 years out of date, nearly. Unbelievable. Okay, I'm about to start prepping some chicken. This is the only knife they have for me to prep, which is this. And if I look in here, that's not going to do very well for chicken breast. That's a bread knife. I think that's a butter knife. And what's that going to do? Absolutely nothing. There is no knife sharpener, so all I have to do is use this, and I'm going to have to sharpen it on the back using this, which is far from ideal. And you can see on that is blunt. That is so blunt. Look at this. It's not doing any good, that at all. I used it the other day and it's just not right. It's just not right. All right, I'm going to start having to sharpen this that I've got because of no sharpener, of course. I had to do this the other day and it's still just as blunt as anything. In fact, I've had to do this in a number of Airbnbs before. Again, like I said, they don't think about things. They don't provide the guest with what they have in their own house. I know they have a knife sharpener. I know they have a rack of knives, and some Airbnbs do, but you'd be surprised that a lot of them don't. All right, got some chicken there. It's just not good at all. It's just not good. Having to really, normally that would go through like butter with a normal knife, as you know. You saw this morning me trying to use the very blunt knife. that nearly left me, trying to sharpen it on the back of a bread knife, which wasn't ideal, super frustrating, especially someone who cooks as much as I do. I actually think a lot of Airbnb hosts just assume that people will be eating out. Anyway, all that said, that was very frustrating. They're not on their own though. A lot of Airbnbs are a letdown when it comes to the kitchen in a number of ways. But the more I'm thinking about this, I've been in today like a full day. It is starting to feel a bit more homely though to me. There is a lot of benefits to this place. There really is. Would I stay again? I don't know. I need to find out in the next day or so. I think the next couple of days will determine that. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Far from perfect. I don't expect perfect. I expect basic amenities, and they're lacking in a number of ways there. But it's not the worst place I've stayed in. One thing I forgot to show you is this cheeky little thing here, the ironing board. I've never seen that before, but that is incredibly cool. I've never even touched it before, so I'm assuming. That is unbelievable. It might not be much to somebody else, but you never get that in Airbnbs. I've never seen that before. Normally, normally they give you the tiny, tiny irons that go to about there. And they're very awkward. You can't balance them on anywhere. You can't put like your clothes over it, your shirt properly, because it gets tangled in the arms underneath the legs. So that is really, really cool. It's been pretty loud tonight. In a lot of walking above, a lot of noises, a lot of banging. I was reading the Airbnb listing. There is a private entrance. That's true. And it is completely separate from our upstairs home. Well, it might be separate from the home, but there's something above me. And again, it puts me off. You feel you've been duped a little bit because the wording's not very transparent. Don't fully trust guests' reviews. So what they do is they give people 5 stars. They glaze it. They talk it up. They say it's amazing. And it's a dump. It's a shit show, right? So there's that. They're afraid of getting a negative review from the host in return, okay? The other thing is people's standards are just shocking. People live in squalor. People live in dumps. So what they consider clean is disgusting. They don't have standards. Don't believe everything they say. So you might think I'm being nitpicky, but if you have an Airbnb, it's your job to keep on top of it, okay? And you're supposed to know when things are in date or out of date. Like I showed you the other day, 2 years out of date, right? Out of date, okay? Showed you though, I came across this before and I'm thinking, it just goes to show you're not keeping an eye on things. June 2024, there. This is dead. It has nothing in it, literally. Why keep it? And this Bisquick here, 2024. It's not difficult to keep on top of things. So I hope you get an idea of just the quality, the level of quality here we're talking about. To some it's nothing, and it's not a big deal to me, I'm just pointing it out. I haven't really been out the house, but it was freezing again this morning when I woke up. Really cold throughout the morning, actually up until early afternoon. I'm not in a position, I'm not in the mood to be texting, increasing the temperature please. And then it gets too hot and I have to message again, say, can you put it down again? I feel like a 5-year-old. I wouldn't choose to come back here. So that's it. The trip is done. Okay, so what went well? Let's give it a brief rundown. Well, the place is really well designed. It is incredibly clean and sterile, so that's a massive plus because I've stayed in some places that were frankly just disgusting. The view outside is tremendous. It is well maintained inside the property. You know, it's got a nice rustic feel to it. The shower is very good. The perfect power, nice and clean. And again, the design of the shower is really good. The bed is extremely comfortable, which you don't often get in Airbnbs. Okay, so the negatives. Well, the temperature. As you know, I have never been as cold in my life inside a building as I was in this one when I came. It's gone from freezing cold, when it's cold, it's really cold, to absolutely nuclear level warmth. And there's no control. I can't seem to win. I'm either too hot or too cold, which leads me to the next negative that I'm not very happy with and leaves me disappointed is I do not get to control the heating situation or the cooling situation. Because of this, it was a very poor start upon arrival. When I came, the heating wasn't on. I had to get a space heater. It was absolutely freezing outside. It was freezing in the basement. And I had to ask for the heating to be on, and I had to ask for the in-floor heating to be on. And it just left a lot to be desired. We didn't get off the right foot. So that was poor. Obviously as well, got to mention the kitchen utensil situation is just worse than shambolic. The knife situation was horrific. I like to cook a lot of homemade food, and it was just a struggle. That really bummed me out. They didn't have enough utensils and no rack of knives, no knife sharpener. It was just really, really poor. And also, they had the really good idea of leaving a snack box, but it would be even better if the snacks were in date. So what's the final verdict then? I just didn't feel at home here. I had one day where I felt a little bit more at home, but then reality came knocking again. The temperature was doing all this all the time. I was up against it in the kitchen. I thought, this doesn't feel like home. In essence, it looks a lot better than the property actually is. It leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. I personally wouldn't come back again. There wasn't a huge amount of choice in the area, and I would absolutely just give it a 6 out of 10. So that's it for this trip. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to like it and also subscribe. And I'll be traveling somewhere every single week in Airbnb, so you'll get to see different places, the good, bad, the ugly. So stay tuned.